and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So, public comments? Do we have any public comments?
Ken, prayer?
Thank you. I'd just like to pray for this meeting if I could. Lord, we are meeting here today to conduct matters of business. We ask you to guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and clear speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. We acknowledge you as the source of all good things, and we thank you for being our source of guidance today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Cam Hillsdale?
Okay, I am a prejudiced my prejudiced viewpoint toward the Hillsdale curriculum this evening is I've been a supporter of Hillsdale for several years, and in the literature that I have read, it is very positive as far as patriotism, very positive as far as civics and the history of what our founding fathers tried to do when they made the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And I just say that when I look at the graph of the scores in the last 50 years of our ranking among the nations of the world, I see a graph that's steadily declining for the last 50 years. And at the same time, when I look at a graph of cost per student, the graph is just increasing over the last 50 years. That concerns me, and that's why if I ever had an input for a student who wanted to go to a college that does not take any government funding, I would recommend Hillsdale for that.
Roger Hillsdale?
First of all, I want to thank the board for having the meeting down here in Kuski. There's great Chinese food down the road, and it was affords me the ability to do that. So, yeah, I'm here in support of the Hillsdale curriculum. Also, the PragerU, which kind of goes along with it, which, from what I understand, the state superintendent of schools has adopted for Idaho. So I would encourage the board to look into both these curriculums, and they're high value, high quality, or I should say they teach great values, which I would assume you'd all agree with if you looked at them. And it's a high quality program. Actually, both of them are high quality programs. And best of all, it's free from what I understand. So, which translates to doesn't cost the district, doesn't cost the taxpayer. And you know, I think with this recent election, I think there's a strong mandate that it goes against the DEI programs, and I think people don't want that. I think the vast majority of the American people don't want that. And so I guess the question becomes, why are we teaching it to our kids? So I would just encourage you to look at these two curriculums and with an open mind. And I really think you'd all agree that they're good programs, good curriculums. So that's it. Thank you.
John Hillsdale, PragerU?
I agree with the first two speakers. Hillsdale and Prager are both good curriculums. I appreciate the board for even taking the time to look at them. I think that's a wise choice. And also would like to say that if you get a chance, take a look at what the superintendent of education in Oklahoma is doing. They're bringing Bibles back into the schools. A Bible that has the Constitution, the Declaration, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the Bible all in one document, which I think is a great idea. Bringing the Bible back, prayer in the schools, the Ten Commandments. And he made a great statement a couple of days ago. He said the reason that we're not teaching history the way we should be teaching, and that's why the Bible needs to be brought back, because it's a founding document for our nation. And he said, basically, we are committing, an educational problems with not teaching this stuff. Our kids aren't understanding where our founding came from. So I'd encourage you to get the Bible back, the Ten Commandments, these important documents that our kids need to learn from to know our true history. And I was just talking to Pat Sullivan about that, who's been a history teacher in this district for years, and he said, yeah, he's right, that is part of our true history. So anyway, thanks for looking at this curriculum. Really appreciate it.
Eric, PragerU.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit in support of the PragerU curriculum. I'm the manager of the Nom Nom in Grangeville, and I work with a lot of younger people. And one thing that I've kind of noticed is most of them don't have a whole lot of financial literacy. The PragerU actually has a really great financial literacy program called Cash Course, I think it was. And anyway, it's kind of an e-learning based course. I'm more of a textbook person, but I know a lot of the young kids like to watch YouTube and that sort of thing. I think it's probably kind of geared towards them quite well. They have a lot of lessons on, like, say, interest and budgeting, how to create a budget. They go over the difference between renting and owning, how to balance credit cards and debit cards, student loans, that sort of thing. And they have like 3 courses, I think it was, on taxes. So I think that's a really good thing to have in our schools. I know a lot of these young people have had economics courses in school, and I'm sure that these things are being taught, but for whatever reason, they're not really retaining the knowledge. And I just think that this course looked quite interesting and would be a good idea, and thanks for looking at it.
Sue, Curriculum.
Probably I'm just going to reiterate what was said before. I think it's a great idea to look at the curriculum from PragerU and from Hillsdale. They're outstanding. And I think that with this last election, 82% of our county voted conservative. And I think that's a mandate that they want their kids to go to a school that's conservative and to stay away from all of this extracurricular stuff that's been added over the last 50 years. We keep expending more money, and the kids are retaining less and less. And I think it's because there's just a lot of social justice stuff that is infiltrated into the school curriculum. So I really appreciate that you're going to consider this curriculum for this community.
Rosalia, Curriculum.
I too want to speak on the Hillsdale curriculum. I ran across a quote the other day by John Jay, who was the first Supreme Court judge in the United States. And he said, every member of the state ought diligently to read and to study the Constitution of his country and teach the rising generation to be free. By knowing their rights, they will sooner perceive when they are violated and be the better prepared to defend and assert them. And I think the study of Hillsdale history is an amazing thing, and I appreciate the fact that you're looking looking at it, and you brought it to the public like this, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
That's it? All right, moving on to consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Have some amendments.
with your permission, I'd like to make a motion to reorder one item on the amended agenda as evidenced which is by the numerous comments we just heard, which has been properly noticed. Under what is currently Section F, Item 3, as an aside, it's improperly titled academic performance. Should just be consideration of alternate curricula. I would request that that item be moved to the business section as item 11. And that is my motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
I'm not sure that we can change a non-action item to an action item at the last minute in an agenda.
I don't know either. Do we know this?
Again, the guidance.
Yeah.
Trustee, you want to say something?
My thought is that there are some things that we can do that, to begin to carry this forward as an item where we take some action. We're not going to spend any money, but we want to be able to actually begin to look at this
And it's urgent.
Can we do it through an informational item to still do investigations?
I can't answer that. Informational items says to me that, okay, we're just passing information out, we're not doing anything about it. That's why, again, that
You want to take action on something
I
tonight.
want to do something with it, yeah, again.
Without, with the clerks, simply my motion when it becomes an action item is we refer to the standard curriculum committee process and wait for their recommendation. Then we can take action. There will be no action taken on that, but we do need to move it because as it's stated in this item about PragerU kids from our superintendent, there's a process to be followed, Idaho Code 33512A, and that will be my motion when we get there, if we get there, by way of the vote, moving this to an action item. That's my only intent in doing it. It's been properly noticed. There's no reason to waste a month to move the thing up one half a page.
I'm okay with it. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
And abstain?
abstain.
Abstain. Okay.
I need a motion to accept the amended agenda, please.
So moved.
No,
Excuse
I
me.
need a motion.
I'm sorry. I make a motion to accept the amended agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Let's vote on that. All in favor of the amended agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Approval of minutes.
Okay, there's 2 corrections on the minutes. The first one is on page 3 on your regular minutes dated October 17th. On page 3, under number 3, approval of water fountain with small pond features. The first line says Clearwater Valley Junior Senior High School principal went over the water fountain with a small pond feature. That was a lie. He was not there. I made an error. So I scratched that off the minutes.
That we tabled that.
Yeah, we did. And then November 6th special meeting minutes. On the very top, it had written that board member Edwards, Superintendent Holthouse, and Clerk Lynn were absent. We were actually present via Google Meets in Boise, so that got changed.
We need approval of that, I guess.
No, actually,
have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
We'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Going through it.
Can I ask who seconded?
Reports.
Put your hands up.
Superintendent's report.
All right, so again, I go right back to my 3 goals, and that's going to be my report each time. So goal 1, put the joy back in learning, teaching, and living in Mountain View School District. Some of the things that I've been busy doing this month, supporting building administrators, and in supporting building administrators, that supports their staff. So hopefully the staff are feeling more supported. I made myself available to the 2 Clearwater Valley schools all day today. That's going to be my practice as best that I can do. Anytime there's a board meeting, making myself available all day. I go to the buildings and I just sit there and welcome them in, try to catch them on the premise. So I'm trying to be available to staff at all times, or as much as possible. We have developed systems and procedures for our McKinney-Vento. McKinney-Vento is the federal name for the homeless people within our community. And some of us like to think they don't exist, but we have a number of them. And some of the services that are provided to children who qualify for McKinney-Vento are free lunches, and also they have a right to remain in their home school. So if in the process of homelessness they have to move, let's say, from Grangeville to Riggins or something, they have a right to go to their home school. So we work on transportation to get them back. And so working on those kinds of procedures to help protect those children. Continued positive messaging through all of our social media, just pounding that out there. We see the cup half full, where that matters, 3/4 full, because this is an amazing district. And then being available to patrons as much as I possibly can. Goal 2, refine, develop, and document practices and procedures in Mountain View School District. How did those, and I say cows got out of the pasture, how did the cows get out of the pasture? You've had a lot of turnover, and in this chair, you've had a lot of turnover. And in that turnover, you lose practices. And so we are clarifying grant applications. There's a ton of grants out there, and I don't think I've ever been in a district where the teachers are as proactive as they are in writing grants. Holy cow. However, helping them define those grant applications so that we don't have unintentional costs that come to the district. Like if you build a building and it has to be heated, that's a cost that comes to the district. So helping to clarify that and getting a good procedure for that. We're refining our hiring practices so that that is clear and we meet all of the state and federal laws for that. Interview procedures, again, the same thing. And then we're currently trying to document and develop background for decision-making processes. For instance, Grangeville High School got to go to state volleyball, and it was in Moscow. So, of course, children who earn a state berth want to spend the night in motels and have the whole thing. And, you know, I get that. I totally understand that. However, there's a fiscal responsibility there. And where is that? And so we're trying to document and build some procedures in place for when they stay and when they don't. Here's the cutoff. Because of transportation and the number of hours it takes to drive from Grangeville or CV to Lewiston, you return from Lewiston. It's more expensive for motels and all of that to return from Lewiston. Moscow's exactly the distance that it would be financially irresponsible to return because of the limited number of hours a driver can drive and what it would cost us to send extra drivers. So getting those things in writing so that the next person who sits in this chair doesn't have to do the same thing, but at least has a place to start in making his or her decisions. And we have this great binder. It jokingly has a cover on it that says it once was done in Mountain View School District, so now it's the law. That's a joke, but it is a document, and so that they can refer to it in alphabetical order to look at those things, so that someone doesn't have to spend a day figuring out the math of where it is the cutoff line for travel. And then I just want to give a shout out to our policy committee. They are amazing. They're amazing. They're doing such a great job. We have 5 transportation policies in front of us tonight. What I'm really impressed with is they all are willing to share their opinion and participate in the conversation and the dialogue, and sometimes disagree, and sometimes be okay with disagreeing. And that makes a powerful committee, in my opinion. They meet in that time frame. They stay within the 1 hour. They're clear. They're decisive in their decision making. And again, sometimes they disagree, and that's okay. Great attendance. It's been amazing. So shout out to that, which is my next transition, and this is funny that this is coming up tonight. I honestly didn't know that this was going to be your conversation. My recommendation that I plan to come to you in December with is a curriculum committee, because it's time to start looking at curriculum. Remember, there is Idaho Code 33512A, which outlines the procedures. I even brought this, which outlines the procedures for adopting curriculum. Who has to sit on that committee? I want to go back and look at my policy committee, because I believe that it fits all of those criteria, that more than 50% needs to be patrons of the district. I believe, and I had to double check this, but it says parents and students in the district, and then an administrator and a board member. So I plan to bring to you at the December meeting a curriculum committee outline for you to approve. But how we'll make that up and how we get those people on that committee. Funny that the two things, great minds think alike, apparently. And then finally, every person learning every day. I attended the Idaho School Board Association convention. Trustee Edwards attended as well. I attended because I knew that you had asked for some training. Every session that there was about Robert's Rules of Order, open meeting law, and governance, which were presented by various people from across the nation, some of them within the state, some outside of the state. And I have asked for those slides, and I have them available for you if you want to use those slides. And if you are going to do training, I highly encourage you to seek some guidance. I don't care where you get the guidance from, but I think that all three of those are bigger than us, and we need to encourage we can discern, you are the decision makers, you can discern good information or bad information. I just think you need to get information from maybe multiple sources. So that's my report. Questions? All right.
I have a question just with your email that you sent out when you originally were asking people to notify you about the policy committee.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in that email it was also policy, and I think there was some element of curriculum in that, but I could be wrong. So if you could just look back at that, and when you put it out there and ask people to email
I'll pull that email back.
the district.
At the time where there was some conversation about a subcommittee being curriculum, again, that would nearly have to be the entire team because of the requirements by Idaho 33512A. So I will look at that email when I'm putting together my recommendation.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Moving on. Principals' reports.
I'm sorry. Melanie Martinez is ill and won't be here tonight. Yes.
Well, thank you, board, for allowing me to address you guys. Audience, thank you for the opportunity as well. I'm just going to go over a few highlights of my board report for the audience here and in your ear for a good listening measure. I am grateful and fortunate to be here as the building principal. One of my goals when I was hired on was to change the culture of our school, and I'm fortunate to work with some great educators that assist me along the way, and students as well. And so in changing culture, you'll later get to hear from a fine educator and one of their students on your water fountain project. So that's pretty cool that they're coming forward. Not been done much, I don't believe, to the board where our students are and faculty are coming to you to present their case and ask for permission. So I thank you for that. We need to come up, so thank you. Staff spotlight, I put on there our librarian, Missy Coons, Missy Coons. She graduated alumni in 1994, started working here in 2001, coached high school track for 15 years, and after 23 years, she's still here. She's our librarian, our IDLA site coordinator, advanced opportunities coordinator, and oversees the Mountain View School District 244 libraries. She's a true asset for our school and community, and has been an integral part of hosting our annual Veterans Day Assembly and Luncheon. We are extremely grateful to have her on our team. Some activities that's been going on. Our CVHS student body recently hosted a Veterans Day Assembly. We had 14 local proud veterans in attendance. Students from various classes wrote letters of appreciation to them. That was well received. They enjoyed a luncheon that included homemade soups, rolls, fruit, meat and cheese trays, chips and cookies. All in attendance appeared to have a good time. It was very pleasant and cordial, and our students got to sit with them and reflect on their lives and share common ground that way as community members. Our winter sports programs are going. We have some growth in turnout. Junior high boys currently has 12 players. High school girls basketball team doubled from last year. We had 6, got 13 now, so that's a positive. They're 2-0 in the league. Beat St. John Bosco last night, I believe, 2 nights ago. So they're pretty happy because they didn't win a game last year. So we've got some growth going there. High school boys basketball started November 15th, 11 on the court. High school wrestling started November 18th. I am a weight assessor for the state of Idaho as well. I assessed 20 high school wrestlers. I believe it was 16 males and 4 female wrestlers. Our Associated Student Body Officers and Student Council sent 13 student body members to the Idaho Association of Student Council conference in Twin Falls. They were there working as a conference, going to workshops and learning leadership skills. 3 of those individuals contacted me at our Student of the Month Assembly next Tuesday. We'll present a small little piece and bring back and give back and report to our student body on some of the leadership and stuff that they've done. That's a first of its kind as well. So they're actually going out and not just sleeping in the hotel. They're bringing back the knowledge and sharing it. So to me, that's a big part of the culture that we're changing here. As far as facility update, I'd like to give a round of applause to our fine Michael Stevens, if you would help me. You might be saying, what am I clapping for? Clapping for, we now have an active intercom system that we've been without for, and so the board, we thank you on behalf of the staff here. And students, we are truly grateful for you pushing that forward and making it a priority. We have a bell schedule, we have a communication system, and we now believe we are a little bit more safe and secure in our schools. So thank you for that. And finally, our CVA chest maintenance crew, and with the helping hand of Grangeville's maintenance, Jared Andrews, recently did a top coat finish to our aging gym floor for the upcoming basketball season. So it's those little small things in life that make those students feel a little bit more appreciated. So thank you to you taxpayers and everybody that assisted us with that. I know it's money out, but it was a good cause. And so we are trying to take care of your school, our school. So thank you for your time.
May I recognize Mr. Martinez has worked hard and is doing an outstanding job of getting things, the cows inside the pasture here. Great cows, wonderful cows, we're getting them inside that fence. And he's worked very hard. As a matter of fact, I chastised him last Sunday evening at about 7:30 about sending emails. I might have read that email and sent him one back, but I told him, get off your computer and go be with your family. So he's working hard and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Federal programs, curriculum, and assessments report. Kim?
Good evening, everyone. Quick summary of the happenings in my 3 boroughs. Federal programs first. This year we're really focusing on compliance requirements following the federal program audit last year. Of note, some best practice efforts from our school buildings is that they are reworking their school-wide plans. We haven't had any in writing for some time, and so they're taking a look at their needs and then putting forth efforts and strategies, putting those things in place so that we can continue to see improvement, academic improvement, community feeling, engagement in the schools, and so all of our schools are participating in that. In particular, GHS is taking a first-time look at that, and here at CVHS, Mr. Martinez and his crew are looking at writing the plan in such a way that they can move from being a targeted Title I school to having a school-wide program. That just opens up opportunities for them to provide services to a lot more students. Also, you have all been working on policy updates and adoptions that were kind of not up to snuff, and those are all in the queue for your action this year, so we'll just keep moving forward with all of those.
a little summary on Title I academic support, just to help you all understand how many students are impacted by the federal program dollars we receive. Our staffing relies heavily on those funds. At GEMS, about 173, 150 to 170 students are currently receiving academic support from 4.5 interventionists. That's K-6 students. At Clearwater Valley High here, junior and senior high. I'm not certain of their numbers exactly because they overlap a bit. Some students receive help in math and ELA, some just receive it in one subject, but they're at about 80 students and they're receiving support from 2 interventionists. At Clearwater Valley Elementary, 51 students are receiving support. That's from 2 interventionists. Overall in the district, there's about 40% of our students who require academic support. In the curriculum area, I finished cleaning up the curriculum list, which was very old, and it's ready to post on the website for just those curricular materials that have already been adopted by the district. And we had some really good feedback. We had some instructional coaching for our K-6 ELA program that took place in October. We had some instructional coaches in the classroom working with our teachers to help them improve their literacy instruction. And the feedback was so positive that we're looking at ways to maybe try to bring in another session to that. And in the assessment world, all of the fall state assessments have been administered, and the district local benchmarking assessments have been administered. The data is in the buildings being reviewed. Teams are assessing their areas of need and just continuing to plan strategies to help students continue to improve academically. That's all from me, unless you have questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Financial report.
So my report is on the website under financials, board report, 24-25, and our October report. So this will look familiar to what you guys saw last year. As I mentioned, I'm just kind of going to quarterly reports now. I feel like it's just more meaty of detail versus month to month with not as like big of changes. So we're still breaking down the per student cost for each location. Again, this is just through October 31st. These were some other items that had been kind of generally asked about. So average principal salary, average certified teacher salary, and then our teacher and student administrators ratios in each of the locations. And so we got in the Clearwater Valley and Elk City realm, 301 students to 27.5 teachers and 2.5 admin. Grangeville, 770 students, 49.5 teachers and 2.5 admin, for a total of 1,071 students, 77 teachers, and 5 admin. So those are just kind of little breakdowns. And then I did my budget versus year-to-date spent, and so I got some percentages off to the side. We did receive our August payment from the state, and that is usually about 50% of our what's expected, and then we got another chunk in November, and so we're about to 70% of what we're expecting for the year. This is just showing August though, because it's just again through October. Once again, I know this was kind of a hot topic last year, the interest on our investments. I only had $25,000 budgeted for the last school year, so I did up it, but with elections going on, I just really still wasn't sure or comfortable to go to gung-ho. As you can see, we've already hit it though, so that will just be extra, which is great. Also, the supplemental levy, you guys might be like, whoa, we haven't even paid our property taxes. What's that from? Again, the 2.936 is what was passed, but we got from the school district facility funds 586,000 of that paid for by the state as what they were kind of calling their property tax relief. And so that's what that amount is. So the difference will be coming from our tax patrons later. So again, that's what that portion is. Then we go down to our expenses, and we have our salaries up top, followed by trailing benefits, which is Percy, our retirement portion, and FICA, Social Security, and Medicare. And then insurance, and workers' comp, that's all paid at the beginning of the year, so that's just a one-time expense. It won't continue to go above that. I was just slightly under for my budgeting. And then we have special education, and their travel is a little high, but we did get a grant. It just wasn't implemented yet, so a little bit of that will be offset by the grant, so that won't be as high. And then we have some development and training. Those are pretty good numbers going on. Accreditation, again, that is high. It's because normally it's $1,200 per high school, but this year CVHS went through their 5-year renewal, and so that's an extra $2,000, and I was not expecting that, so that's my bad. But that's why the percentage is so high. But again, that's just a once a year thing, so that won't continue to go up. Another high one is our custodial, like budgeted, it's a total of $45,000. Expended is not quite there yet. I think they have like $600 left, but paper products are going up. So that's something we're definitely keeping in mind. Transportation's pretty good. Same with maintenance. The grounds were high, but that kind of is normal. Starting off this school year, we're just like getting, especially like, because we're gonna hit winter and then there's not really much to do. So that kind of took care of the majority of it. Our utilities are in a good space. Property and liability insurance, again, that's a once a year fee, so that's not gonna go higher. And then there's our extracurricular items, and I should say extra and co-curricular program items. Again, catastrophic insurance, once a year item, so that won't go any higher. So that's my expenditure and revenue portion. And then these are our balances for our major funds. Our general fund, again, we had a good portion come in from the state already, so we're sitting at about $4 million. Our forest funds, or some, more appropriately named SRS, Secure Rural Schools. We've had about $54,000 in interest for there. The $1,100 in expenditures was for mapping for deconsolidation purposes. And so we're still at $2.8 million for that. Our child nutrition program, which is our food services, we're down to $121,000. We kind of knew that was coming. COVID allowed all of our students to be free, and so we built it up pretty darn good. And so now we're kind of seeing it dwindle down. Our Title I, 4, and 2, and IDEA, which is special education, school age, and preschool. Again, these are all just allocations throughout the year, and then we have to spend it and then request the drawdown. And so those are just our expenditures through October. Our bus depreciation was $733,000. We finally got 2 buses in that we ordered 18 months ago, and so we still have another 2 buses coming in. So those 2 buses were $302, leaving us about $439,000 in there. The property tax relief, that is what also kind of helped buy down the levy from the 3.1 million to the 2.9. So later on this year, when we need it, I'll transfer 200,000 because the other 200 plus thousand will be utilized next school year. We also got 80% of our school modernization funds. I was quite pleasantly pleased when I saw that come in. I wasn't expecting that until spring. And so that's about the 4.4 million that we got from the state that's supposed to cover our next 10 years of facility items that we talked pretty heavily about doing the lump sum versus annualized. And so that came in, and we should expect the other 20% in the spring. Speaking of that, we were approached, and we being Mrs. Holthouse and I, about our bleachers at both the high schools and the Grangeville Elementary. It's a total of 5 sets of pull-out bleachers, and they are kind of in a little bit of poor shape. They just haven't been, I'm not going to use the right words, like greased. Help me.
So they're plastic bleachers that have a roller system, and there is greasing that happens. And but there was never any formal training for what gets greased. They grease them every year, what they know they need to. However, really what we're noticing are those roller casters are wearing out. They're plastic on metal, and they wear out over time. Those bleachers, I don't know how old they are. They were here when I was here, however many years ago that was, 13 years ago. So they just need some maintenance is all they need. So we have contacted a maintenance company that has agreed to come and replace the rollers, casters if they need, grease everything, and most importantly, train our maintenance people how to maintain them regularly. The cost looks really scary, but if you think it is 5 sets of bleachers, so you divide it by the 5, and then the number of years that we've had the bleachers that we haven't invested any upkeep or maintenance on them, it's time to put some maintenance into our bleachers so that they last us another good long time. And most importantly, that they're safe. There are districts around us. Sometimes you'll go to a game and you see sets of bleachers that aren't out. Often it's because they haven't been maintained, and so they can't use them because of safety. So we don't want to be one of those districts.
And because we thought that it was kind of that sweet spot of a number, like about 40% to CV and about 60% to Grangeville, we thought the school modernization funds would be a good source to spend those, or to help the bleachers. And then kind of speaking of that percentage, it makes me think about the deconsolidation. And one of the things that Mrs. Holthouse and I said that was really needed was an inventory appraisal or service, because that is one thing that we've definitely been lacking on. We don't have a proper inventory. Like, I think they used to, past administration, but it has not been upkept in quite a number of years. And so we did get a proposal for that. And so we've been kind of thumbing that over, and it's just another thing that I do think is necessary. The man hours and power we could do in the district, I mean, I think it could get done. Would it be one as efficient or as streamlined and consistent? Like Ms. Holthouse gave a really good example of, like, if we're putting asset stickers on a computer set, what if one person's going around and putting it on the tower and then another person's putting all the stickers on the monitor, and so inconsistency. And so we kind of, that's another reason why we went and got a quote.
So it's not cheap.
Nope.
It's very expensive. Back in the day,
No, please finish.
Back in the day, I'm old, so I've been around since the beginning of Dawn. You used to remember, you saw those silver stickers on anything, and for a while there was a lot of discrepancy about what you put an asset sticker on. For a while they said if it was valued at more than $100, you put an asset sticker on it, and then it had a number associated with it and kept it in our database. And then at the end of the year, teachers would get these big green and white printout sheets. Remember the old dot matrix printers that you could read? We'd get those, and we had to go through and check and make sure that we still had X number of chairs and tables and desks and all of the stickers matched up. So again, an example that I personally know of is as items come into the district, we were expected to put an asset ticket on it and notify the district office that this asset came in and this is the ticket number. Well, just clarity didn't happen, and so yes, some of us thought that a computer is 3 pieces, and a monitor at that time was $100, so we put a sticker on it, and then one on the CPU, but then the next person was like, this is a computer, it gets one asset ticket. And so, because multiple people were doing the inventorying, it helped it get really messy. So did they have an inventory of the district 13 years ago? Yes, they did. Since that time, I don't know what's happened to it. We do not currently have an accurate inventory of the district. In my opinion, my recommendation, and you do have under action items deconsolidation, my recommendation is that we pay to have this inventory done. That way it's accurate, and we know the location of every item and the value of every item in the district. It's not cheap. I'm going to warn you, to get the full package, it's about $20,000.
When you guys did that, did you bid it for just shared items between the two
All
proposed?
items in the district. So they come boots on the ground, every building, and come through, and they're trained, and they.
Do we need everything, or do we just need the shared items itemized? Like if all these computers are here at Kuski, they're Kuski's. If all these books are here in the library, they're Kuski's.
I think for two things. First of all, it works with your insurance, and if there were to be a catastrophic, like a flood or a fire, that's your documentation for what gets replaced. And so our insurance company highly recommends that you do these inventories and that they're accurate. Secondly, I think that we want to be as clear as we can be in clarity and making sure that we are holding Clearwater Valley, if the deconsolidation passes, holding Clearwater Valley whole and holding Mountain View School District or Grangeville School District whole if that happens. So again, I think it's a good practice, a good procedure to say, on this date and time, if they came over Christmas break, on this date and time, every item, this is the list, this is its location.
So it feels like deja vu for me. We had the same conversation back when we were talking about the deconsolidation, this need. So this was not done in any way, shape, or form for the deconsolidation packet so far.
No, correct. At the Elk City meeting.
I thought it had been. So.
No, at the Elk City meeting, we had a conversation about it, and that's when we reached out to a couple of vendors to find out what the price would be. And so, this took a while. Apparently, this company had somebody that was out on medical leave or whatever. It took longer than normal, but it does take a bit of turnaround to get any numbers back.
Okay. I thought it had to be an element of our packet, so.
At that time, I thought it did, but no, it does not have to be. But I think it's good. It's
we
a good
need to have
part.
it moving forward, whether or not. Okay, thank you.
And then how much is the bleacher bid?
10,700.
I'm sorry?
10,700.
Between five bleacher sets.
Right. And over, probably, let's say 10 years, that's $200 a year per bleacher. That's not bad.
So,
And that wasn't in here, right?
No, sorry.
No, that's fine. I was
These are
just like,
kind of tidbits.
yeah. No, that's
Sorry. Any other questions for me?
All right. Moving on to business. National motto sign. Sue Kenner.
I believe Ms. Kenner wants to have a picture as well. I just want to read the heads up.
It was exciting for me that last year the legislature passed a law that said that if the signs were presented to the school at no charge to the school, that they would post them in conspicuous areas. This is our national motto, "In God We Trust," and there are 7 signs here, one for every building in the district, including the district. And I'm very happy that when I asked for donations, the donations came from every area in the district here. And I think that says a lot about our community and what they believe in. And I'm sorry, you guys didn't get to see all this, did you? So, anyway, I'm very honored to be able to present these to you as signs that you can put up in your schools.
Thank you.
Lori, is the wrap making it be blurred for you? Did you get a good picture?
I think it's okay when I didn't use the flash.
I was looking
Yeah.
at it to see if
I
that wrap
know,
was making it blurry or
but
not.
if you undo that, then it's a
Two
mess.
questions. Did I hear you say there's one for the district office? In
Yes.
the back? Okay.
Yes.
And second question, can you tell us about what they're made of and
These are brushed aluminum. They're very specific about what colors you can use, and what can be on the signs. And it seemed that most people were interested in, you can't make silver on a computer. So what they saw with the gray background had to be silver. And the only thing that you can get in silver, because print shops can't do it either, is the brushed aluminum. So
And these were purchased relatively locally?
Prick Craft in Lewiston.
Nice.
So
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I believe she wanted a picture with the trustees.
Oh, sure.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Okay, real quick, okay.
Can we shut that off?
you guys all have to be frugal.
Okay, get in here.
Oh, just-
No, get in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I'm getting around just a little smaller. More
Because
detail.
of that, we're gonna have to move
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, she just turned it on.
Oh, she turned off.
Sorry. Get there.
Okay, everybody's a little bit closer together.
Okay. If you only got it.
Yeah. Great, another one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
All right, moving on to trainings. We'll turn this over to Vice Chairman Larry and Trustee Minot.
This is simply, you guys have been hearing me talk about this off and on for close to 3 years now. I just think there's a number of issues that we ought to, in the interest of operating in a number of areas that we need to address more formally. So I've broken this down into some notes, which I've passed around to y'all to include the superintendent, in hopes of that we can address these items when we get to the trainings. I don't care if we do one long day or 2 separate days. It's a lot of material to go through. Basically, there are 3 elements. There's what's generally referred to as board development, which also includes open meeting law. I heard what you said in this whole house about sources of information. That's good. I will mention with respect to open meeting law, in particular to item 3 under board development, the public discussion with the quorum of the town halls. I'm told that the county prosecutor, who is the authority charged by the state with enforcing open meeting law, has some disagreement as to whether we can do those or not. So I would hope that we would invite him. He just got reelected, so he should be in a pretty good mood. I would hope that we can invite him to be part of the conversation about the open meeting law, because we do have some conflicting legal advice, and I just want to get things right.
And who is that?
I'm sorry?
Who is that person?
Yeah, Kirk McGregor, the county prosecutor. If you go to, for example, if you go to the Attorney General's site regarding, say, having a complaint about open meeting law, they'll tell you a violation, potential violation. They'll tell you to go talk to your county prosecutor first. So if there's a legal question as to whether something is doable or not doable according to what the state says, then that's the person we are directed to go to. So I would just like to invite him to be part of that discussion with respect to open meeting law. Robert's rules, we currently have policy. I've mentioned this several times in the past. Our policy says we may use Robert rules or not. So in that vein, we tend to generally sort of kind of use Robert's rules here, but I think we need to put our feet down and say we're either going to use them or not. Under the Robert's Rules section, I have outlined some of the basic reasons that using Robert's Rules is a good thing, and we also need to define which particular Robert's Rules we're going to adopt. I've heard numbers of 1,400 different Robert's Rules that are recognized by the powers that be that run the Robert's Rules Society, organization, people, the parliamentarians are generally called. And so I think we need to establish which Robert's rules we're going to use normally. There's always an exception, and we've had some disagreement in these meetings about what rules there are and aren't, and whether we can use them or not. I say we just need to get it straightened out and move on. I will mention that in the event that the deconsolidation does happen, my expectation is that the new district that Clearwater becomes will simply, in the interest of keeping things moving forward, I'm assuming, as will the new Grangeville district, take our policy manual as it exists, and we each get a copy and move forward, and then those respective boards will make adjustments over time. And so it behooves us to have some of this stuff ironed out in the interest of the new boards and the new organizations that may be coming, as, if nothing else, a professional courtesy to them and to us. Lastly, under governance, we have virtually no rules regarding some particulars as to the operation of the board. For example, I made a list of 8 things here. Things like, what exactly is the chairman's responsibilities? For one thing, I don't know if people assume this or not, the chairman is supposed to be the official spokesperson for the board. So if the Free Press, for example, wanted to get the board's position on something, that's who they contact. Well, it doesn't say that in any of our paperwork. So technically, anybody could speak for the board. I'm not fond of that idea, but nonetheless, we need to also have, I like the word codified because that's the background I come from. We need to have process and timelines, for example, with respect to trustees adding agenda items or doing other things that affect the open meetings that we're required to have. We had a bit of a misunderstanding this last time, which required us to amend the agenda, and it all got done, and that's great. But if we had some codified timelines that everybody could follow, then we can be a bit more efficient about how we do things. One of the things I'd like to see is guidelines with respect to the use of social media by trustees, with respect to their First Amendment rights, as well as emails and that sort of thing. What exactly should we do and not do, so that everybody's on the same page? Anyway, that's just an idea. That's 60% of what's written here. And so my request is, Mr. Chairman, that I motion that we move forward. Discussion will probably sort this out, and I'll pare this down, Madam Clerk. But that we move forward with board development workshops, which, as I understand, would be open to the public for those 3 areas: open meeting law, Robert's rules, and governance, as soon as possible.
And who will be, so Kirk would do the open meeting law one?
Well, no, it can be ISBA can come in. Anybody else we think has authority to speak on the subject. I think I like what the superintendent said. The more the merrier in terms of getting information from people who work there in that environment. I think is handy. So I'd like to hear what the ISBA has to say on these subjects, but I'd also like to hear what the prosecutor who enforces the actual law has to say. I'm not posing it to anybody who's an authority on the subject, any of these subjects, frankly.
So I have a motion. We have a second. Now let's talk about it. I think I'd personally like to separate them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I like all 3 that you identified, and I think we do need to work on that. I'm wondering if that third one, the governance, couldn't also, do you have the ISBA new trustee handbook, Alyssa? Mrs. Wiles?
I have it, I don't have it with me.
Just, I mean, at some point, it might be something that we all get. We were too cheap to get them in the previous years, so we never got them. So if you could give us a copy, that'd be great. Because I think some of that stuff's in there, and then we
Good.
wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. No, it's like an actual
Do some
8.5
homework.
by 11.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the open meeting policy manual law.
Yeah, guidelines.
That one that you got a copy of a couple months ago.
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's for new trustees.
So we'd like to,
I was just gonna say, again, I think we ought to do them separately because, each one is such an individual type thing. And from, it just makes it easier. Whether it's a 2-hour event or, a half a day or a full day even, separately will work a whole lot better.
Yeah, we can do each of them justice.
Thank you.
I think that you could do open meeting law in a day or a night or an hour, whatever you
Sure.
wanted, and as well as, Robert's rules. It's governance that might take you multiple times to meet because you're developing,
Yes.
like your
Policy.
procedures
Yeah.
for yourself. That might be a big one. I mean, I encourage you, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, that's a big bite.
And maybe the first two, we would invite other districts to join us,
Sure.
but then the governance one, maybe we'd have just with us and the ISBA.
I'd be interested, yeah, I don't disagree. I would be interested in seeing what other districts have in terms of some definitions and procedure and policy. I'd be interested in seeing that. I will mention that Robert's Rules of Order is not the be-all and end-all to meeting. Our state legislature uses Mason's rules, I believe. It's kind of different. We have options if we don't want to do Robert's Rules. I'm not saying I'm landing there, but that's the decision we need to make because our policy currently is what I'll refer to as being permissive. We can use whatever we want to. I'm just saying, well, what the heck is it? And let's move forward.
Don't we have Tracy's Rules of Order? I thought that's what we were
That
talking
works good. I like that one.
Yeah, my only comment is, if we decide to move forward, which I think we're going to do, that somebody take it upon themselves, or one of us will, take the task of reaching out and talking to different people that can come in and, do some presentations and get some idea how much time they want to spend, and get 2 or 3 different sources, and then we can put it together and get it done. It's not something that has to be done next week, but certainly before, springtime.
So maybe assign something to the task tonight.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Just,
I just volunteered yourself.
I do need to know what date and time you guys are choosing, so I can
Yeah.
post for that.
Well, yeah, again, it's not gonna happen in the next 2 weeks, for sure.
If we decide who's gonna take this on, we can decide that tonight, and then next meeting, we can set dates?
Correct.
That'd be fine?
I think that would be good.
Lacey's not sure about this.
Sorry, guys, I'm working like 7 days a week right now.
So your motion
Is
I
that-
haven't had a day off in like
passes, and then just-
2.5 months,
that's okay.
pretty much. So,
So,
You
let's,
gotta make sure your motion passes.
okay, let's talk about, let's vote on the motion first. All in favor of pursuing this?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
All right, now, do we want another motion to
I don't know
appoint?
if you need a motion, I think just appoint.
Oh, let's just appoint
If you so choose, who you want to appoint.
Well, we
Are we
have,
gonna do this?
we have the understanding that we're gonna have, let's say, 3 separate segments of this. They are 3 separate issues. I agree with the superintendent that the governance one is probably gonna be the most time consuming. Why don't we just, we've done this before, why don't we just, I would call on our superintendent to help with the organization, only because you're in the best position to do that in terms of communicating with us. We can't communicate apparently with all of us at the same time.
Or Tracy? Who's the one that would organize that? Okay.
Or my office.
And then we can choose dates next month.
So
Have the district.
What I
Be
would,
be ready.
Okay.
what I would need is some guidance from you on who you see as an authority or who you want. So, and you could do that in an email, send me an email if you have ideas, like
Cool.
Prosecutor McGregor is a great idea for open meeting law. So if you have ideas or thoughts about who might be an expert that you might want to have, if you'll send that to me in an email, that would help me out.
Terrific.
And
We need to come to the next meeting prepared with some dates. Okay, great. Thank you all.
Thank you for doing all that.
All right. We're good there, moving on. Superintendent search. Getting on it.
Well, as you know, I signed a 1-year contract. It is time. The early bird gets the worm. So I think that you need to declare the position open for the 25-26 school year and begin the search. I don't know that you want to go, like, I would just recommend you open it. And we start getting it out on our website. We're working in our office, we currently use Frontline, thank you. I can never remember the name of that. There's another company that's a little less expensive that we might switch to. So we have some avenues for advertising. Not as big of avenues as ISBA. I would say if we don't have any interest by December, then you reach out and have ISBA use their massive data list to get the information out. I highly encourage you to begin looking at applications in January and get some interviews done in January and try to make an offer in February because your best candidates are going to be available in January and February.
Could we see the, I don't know what you call it, the job description that would go out in the announcement before it goes out, please?
Absolutely. I'd have to find it. I don't know what went out.
Right.
But I will, I can share that with you. I would assume you'd use the same one. Yeah. As in the past, did you like what you had last year?
I've never seen it.
Carly should have all of that.
Yep.
Okay.
Carly has all
We'll
of that.
Give me a second, I'll,
Do we need to put some caveats on that, that we're
Oh, you're talking about the one we put
May
up for ours,
deconsolidate,
right?
something like that, we need to avoid,
Yeah, I
just
think
during
we
the
could do
interview
that.
process.
No,
We'll
no,
talk
no,
about it
no.
in the interview process, I guess. We can fill them in on the details later. Right?
Statutorily, Eric, does, if we declare the position open, does this obligate us to any kind of a time frame? And secondarily, does it obligate us to any type of posting on a calendar basis or any type of expense? You understand what I'm saying? Are we buying into a process that's going to cost us time and money
So I had this.
since we're technically kind of open?
So yes, we have to declare it open. Yes, we have to post it on our website. So there are some posting requirements about it. Because you've had this position open so many times in the last few years, you get a free ride in that situation because you're declared, you're called an emergency hire at this point because you really had to go deep to find somebody last year. So just getting that position open. I think it was timing last year. I, by the way, have been out recruiting like crazy, telling them how awesome Mountain View School District is, openly talking about deconsolidation and how kind of exciting that could be for a superintendent to be in this chair during that process.
Good. Okay.
So do we have a motion?
would you like to see the brochure?
Oh, hey.
There it is.
So this is what we've used for the last 2 years and can again this year. And so it talks about our mission, just at a glance, the communities, accomplishments, and then it gets into the qualifications, which I think is maybe what you were hoping for.
Well, the other part, I've already seen two things, like per our last email exchange. If you go back up, it says 185 employees.
Yeah,
They
so we have
communicated to me,
to,
we're up around 260. I mean, it probably needs some updating, refreshing, whatever.
exactly, yeah.
I would just like for all of us to go, okay, we're good to go, let everybody know what's in it.
Yeah, and so the qualifications, I think, are pretty standard to what any Idaho superintendent would be looking for, but we, I guess, could add a few.
I'm sorry, I was answering another question.
Oh,
Sorry.
we could add a few qualifications if the board had some specific ones they wanted.
Could you send that to me, please?
To be honest with you, at this point, notifying Frontline if we use Frontline or School Springs if we use School Springs, those are the two companies that the education world advertises positions that are open, and putting it on our website that the position is open would only just be the qualifications portion. You wouldn't have this flyer. Then December, that's when I said step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Then you would have this flyer. So you'd have time at the December meeting to look at that, make the decision if you're going to use ISBA's contact list. They have probably the most comprehensive contact list. But that's a December decision.
Could we make that in November and get ahead of it, or do you not see value
I
in
think
that?
you're far enough ahead of the game.
Okay.
Superintendents haven't notified their districts that they're leaving yet.
Right.
They would do that at the December or January meeting.
Okay.
So I think you're a
After
little
the
ahead of the
evaluation.
game. But I want to be the early bird in this case, because
Right.
I don't want you to have to go
I've
so
not been
far.
early bird.
So I just, yeah, get it open, let's get it advertised. December, if you need to go this, I really think I have 2 hot people interested in the job, and they both phenomenal. I think you'll find them phenomenal too, so we'll see. So advertise it in the district.
Now do we have a motion?
I move that we declare the superintendent position for the 25-26 school year vacant and start the hiring process for that advertising process. Thank you.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Approval of leave. Employee D.
I move that we approve the leave for employee D. We can grant approval at their rate of pay.
Do we have a second?
Daily rate?
Daily rate of pay.
Daily
is that
rate
what
of
you
pay.
said?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
CVHS Water Fountain Grant. Mary Charlie and Nancy Martinez.
So thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. This is actually a grant that was written by students last year, and we were awarded the grant and worked with administration at that time. Did not realize that we needed to have grant approval, or we didn't know that we didn't get it or whatever. So that's what we're here for tonight. I have one of my students here, Peyton Labuti, that has that to present to you.
So we are coming to you guys today for approval to build a water fountain in front of our high school at CVHS. We have all of the money from our grant. It will not cost any extra money to the school since we are using solar power equipment. And so we're coming to you guys for approval.
Is the water hooked? Is the water hooked up to the plumbing? Or-
It's so where the water fountain would be, it'd come right out of the school. So like at any point in time, we could fill the water back up.
Do you have a maintenance plan for this?
Yeah, so our class that will be building it will be maintaining it.
And when you graduate?
The class behind me.
It would be the natural resources classes, maintaining it, taking care of the plants that would be part of the feature. Students have been gathering rocks over the past year to use local rocks for building it, so we'd have plants, we'd have some fish out there. They could collect data from the plants and the fish, so it'd be used in future classes as well.
Could I ask that you repeat and spell your name for the clerk?
Peyton Labuti, Paetyn Labudie.
L-E-B-U-D-I-E?
Labudie.
And in the winter, might be a dumb question, but does it just keep
Nope.
going?
Great question. So we'd pull the pump out in the wintertime, it would freeze up probably, the goldfish in there, they would go dormant, and when they thaw out in the spring, then we'll put the fountain, or the pump back in there and get it going again.
I will make a motion that we accept the water fountain grant as presented.
Second
All in favor?
Aye.
GHS Greenhouse.
Thank you.
that. Good job.
Amanda Bush?
She was supposed to have somebody here to present tonight. For some reason,
GHS Greenhouse, anybody?
Does anybody want to talk about
Students are
it?
out here for the greenhouse.
We will,
No action taken.
no action taken, moving on. GHS graduation request time change. Nicole Howe.
I'm not as cool as Nicole, but I'm here for her.
Even better, the seniors came to ask you, so I'm just gonna sit down and let them.
So I'm the president of the 2025 senior class, and I come to you today to discuss a time change on our graduation regarding senior fun night. So as you guys know, senior fun night is a night for our class to get together, and it's a safe gathering so that people don't go out and do other things that may not be safe. And as the president, I know that our class of 2025 is a very close-knit class. We all know each other, we all get along, and we made a vote that we want to do something fun together. There's one last thing to do. The problem is all of our options that we have like agreed on that our class would want to do is like 3 hours away. And so the graduation time of 7 p.m. would be too late in the day to be able to go to, say, one of the options was Wahoo's in Boise. To go to Wahoo's, do the senior fun night, and be able to get back in time for, say, gatherings the next day that other like families would want to do. So we asked you if we would be able to move graduation to 3 p.m. It would be the same time frame as 5 to 7 p.m. It's just, it would allow us to have time to obviously graduate. We are discussing ways of transportation and stuff like that, but get to either Wahoo's or one of the other places, be able to do our thing and be able to get back into Grangeville or wherever to celebrate with our families.
Could each of you state your name and spell it for the clerk?
Oh, sorry. I'm Tayden Wasmith, Tayden, Wasmith, Wassmuth.
I know how to spell that one.
Taylor Brown, Talum, and BROW.
Oh, Brown, okay.
I'm McKenna York, MakennaYork.
I'm Claire Fry, ClairEirefrei.
So you
So
guys want
hang on,
to
just a
drive?
quick second, hang on. Taylum?
TALUM.
Okay.
So you want to drive to Boise after graduation?
Yes.
To
So Wahoo's is just like we are planning on renting Wahoo's establishment. I think that, what was that time frame?
It's, I think it's, 11 to 3 or 10 to 3.
So the adults that usually go and lock you in
Mhm.
on safe and sober night
Mm-hmm.
would be attending with you?
They would, yes.
Charter buses.
Charter bus.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You should feel tired.
And this whole thing is fundraised throughout the year by your parents
By
and you?
the seniors, yes.
Yeah.
And you're asking for what time?
3 p.m.
3.
And you're gonna drive to Boise and back for the stroke of midnight, something like that?
They're 18.
Boy, they're vicious.
They're not driving you crazy then.
No, I'm just saying, I could,
They're teenagers. Teenagers can do that.
well, they can't stay away from it, probably.
When is the CV graduation?
Well, I'm just saying.
5?
It would be, it was 5 to 7, so it would be the same amount of time between graduations.
I have a question. Just in the interest of giving you a little more time and a little more closure, why not do 1 p.m. and give you guys a little more time? 3 p.m. is kind of thinking about grandpa here, okay?
Yeah, that would be great.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you're gonna do this in the interest of you guys having a, what I'll call a safe and sane experience, that makes more sense to me than 3.
Then by that time you'd be on the road by 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That works for me.
The goal is to get it earlier, so we would
Just
actually,
anything
anything earlier to where we would actually be able to get to
Yeah.
Boise before.
Absolutely.
There may be a hardship for people who can't leave work by that time. I don't know that.
Well,
That popped into my brain.
Would it be any worse than 3 o'clock?
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
I just wanted to throw
I'm
that
just
out.
suggesting you give you a little more time, Christian, whatever works for you guys.
Well, the only conflict that that we have brought up was that since it would have been the same time frame with CV, we were thinking that it would ensure that anyone that graduates with CV and GHS can celebrate with both.
Which,
But
that'll make it.
I guess sometimes we gotta pick and choose, right?
1 and 7 would make it.
Well, I guess.
What are you saying, McKenna?
No, I was just telling him, like, it's like the same thing.
You guys want 3 or 1?
It doesn't matter, as long as, I think our goal, as long as we can get up to wherever we decide to go by the time frame that we rent out the business, then that is just our goal. So 1 or 3, either one would work. We would be able to travel. So,
It's on a Friday, right?
yeah.
Right.
We'll go with that. I mean, it's your graduation.
I think we should probably go with what is written in the letter originally, which would be 3.
Which would be 3. I really.
Whatever you guys want. It's your graduation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I move that we approve the GHS graduation request time change
2 and 3 o'clock.
to 3 o'clock. Thank you, Teresa.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
4 versus 5-day school week.
Oh, yay. At this point, you're in a trial year, and so looking forward to next year, it's time to start thinking about, are you going to continue to try a 4-day week or go back to a 5-day week? And does deconsolidation play into your decision? I don't know. I wasn't here for the 4 or 5-day conversation, and I defer to your history.
Would that be more like is it academically better for the kids, or is it not? It's obviously more financial.
I'd like to
for
have
us,
some
but,
actual data.
I would like to see some data.
Amanda had some great data, but I can't read it in her report. It's like really fuzzy. And I think it would be good to get the data, even, like the last 3 years of falls, or 5 years, whatever data we have in the last 5 years to, even if we just look at the fall data that we have right now.
Fall or spring?
Well, we just got fall, so we could do spring as well with what we have. I just think the more data to look at it, the better. I also think a survey out to the communities would be a good idea to see how they're feeling.
So the board's requesting more data and a survey?
Yeah. Do we need to come up with that survey?
I think we said one when we first did it.
Are we in a position to change our mind at this point in time?
We were only on a trial basis, so.
Okay.
We
Well, here's the
extended it
deal that
1
we-
year because of the deconsolidation and the levy and all that.
I do believe our motion was to come back to the public in a couple of years.
Yeah,
ask them.
and
So,
currently we have a 2-year levy based on a 4-day school week for both of those, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't figure a way out if we did decide to go to a 5-day, that we'd have to figure out a way to find the money. So, but I think we do need to be informed.
And the reason I bring deconsolidation into that conversation, I'm fine with whatever you choose. And I artfully avoided an opinion. I bring deconsolidation in because does it make sense to just continue, because the levy is set for a 4-day, continue that for next year, and then if deconsolidation happens, then those 2 new sets of trustees get to reach out to their public and decide for their public. And if it doesn't happen, we'll know that in May. Well, I'm just thinking about calendar deadline. There's a deadline for submitting your calendar to the state.
May 31st.
Which is May 31st, so you
But that's not
you
fair
don't
to
have
the
10 days. You wouldn't have time to approve a calendar. So you do have to make a decision. I just want you to look at those natural progressions in making that. And I'm fine with whatever you decide.
yeah, I think I'd rather hear from the teachers that are teaching the kids.
I'm sorry. One of the things that I remember that was a tipping point for me was we were having recruitment and retention issues that were argued would be helped with a 4-day school week, and all of a sudden that's not a topic of conversation anymore, so I just want to put that out on the table too. I see that as a definite benefit. I hope that's still the case.
It is. We haven't lost any teachers to Cottonwood in 2 years.
See,
It's just talking to the
so
superintendent.
there's more than one dynamic here.
Yeah, we got one
I'd like
back.
to see some academic performance information too.
Yeah, that's a good call.
That's the bottom line.
If you guys are okay with that?
Absolutely.
Well, it's mid-year anyway, so we should be looking at that anyway.
Just trying to start these conversations good and early.
Yeah.
Please. Good.
So just more data and survey.
Would you like
for the
a
minutes?
motion?
For the December meeting.
I think just request more data and survey.
Good?
Yeah.
Go.
Any deconsolidation plan, do we want to Any other things we want to talk about then?
Was
Do we
the
need to-
plan submitted in a timely manner to the state?
Oh, boy, was it. And Chair Harrington and I will be testifying in front of the Board of Education virtually. We don't have to go down, thank goodness, because I wasn't relishing an idea of that. We will see that. They've asked us to testify, they haven't given us dates of times yet.
Sweet.
Good.
Is it possible we could post that testimony on the school's, the district's Facebook page, please?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what questions they ask.
I was just thinking technologically.
Oh,
Yeah, I
sorry.
would refer to Mr. Stevens, he probably could work the magic.
Their testimony to the State Board of Ed regarding the deconsolidation, is there a way we could get that posted on the district's Facebook page? Super.
I don't know if the Board of Ed delays their postings, like if they do them live
Well-
or if they post them the next day, so it might not be live, it would be posted.
I'm just very curious what their questions are going to be, you know?
It'll probably be pretty simple,
Oh,
hopefully.
And
Any other
then,
comments?
and then, decision about,
The appraisal.
appraisal, thank you, the board.
Yes.
Okay, so what happens, like, if the teachers have their own personal items? Like, do they, what if they?
So we just did this in the district that I left the last year I was there, and so they give you the dates. We're going to be in the building on January 13th at Grangeville High School, January 14th at Grangeville Middle School, and then the teachers are asked to mark their own things. So if it's an entire bookshelf of books, they just put a piece of paper on it that says books belong to the teacher, or they ask you to put a Post-it note on it with a T or something, so that they don't inventory. That's a really good question. So that they don't inventory personal property. Often teachers have a lot of personal property in their classroom.
Yeah, excellent, okay.
and about how long do we think the process is going to take? What are they telling us they're going to do?
It would get, just from past experience, we'd get it probably about the time we vote on the deconsolidation.
How long is it going to take them, though? I'm thinking of disruption.
Oh, they're amazing. They come in and out of your building in one day, but they do like the public areas, the hallways and whatever, while kids are in class, and then when the kids are on a prep, if the teacher's on a prep, or kids are out of class, they go in a classroom and they do it, and they try to work with the offices the same way. I was impressed with how it wasn't disruptive.
So they do it while school is
They
in
have a team,
session?
they have a team of 5 people who come in. They have all of their background checks and their
Thank
security
you.
checks,
All
all
right.
of that, because they're a contractor for schools. And so they have a team of 5 people who walk in a room and they're trained what they're looking for. Boom, 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 boom. They're out in a couple minutes.
Great, thank you.
And yes, they do all of those criteria.
Just checking.
Thank you. That's
It's worth
good
the
stuff.
money, yeah.
Always think about that.
And what's the cost?
20
Sorry.
grand.
20 grand.
20 even?
It's 23.
And
Are
where-
you including the building one part? Because I thought we weren't gonna do that.
Oh, okay. Carly, you tell them. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure I just came up with, okay, not just, I came up with 14.
14.
Oh,
Okay, but do we need the buildings
no, because
appraised
those also? are staying, yeah.
We're talking the building.
Those are
buildings.
the per square foot that like Rich just gave us.
Oh, great, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
good
good, okay.
information on, so I think we're covered, and I
Yeah,
think
that
we could
makes
just do
sense.
the,
Good.
so like the equipment valuation is 9,800, the asset tagging is 1,400, estimated travel is 2,400, and then they also said that we could get the software with it so that we could keep up on it, and that's 600.
So that'd probably save you some time too, huh, Michael?
Out of which fund are we going to pay for this?
Well, again, I probably could argue the school modernization funds, because of how it's benefiting the whole school district, but we would like to discuss that.
Making sure that we have accurate information for insurance coverage, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Isn't proper record keeping the type of thing that's required for up-to-date modernization and maintenance?
Exactly.
Makes sense, okay.
Yeah, I remember doing it for 2 years.
I move as part of the deconsolidation plan that we utilize this bid,
Approved by Valuations Northwest.
approve Evaluations Northwest as a contractor to complete this work.
Or the amount of, do we need?
I asked Alyssa, she said.
I think that We can give you a number if you want. Carly, do you have the official number?
Legally.
Of course she does.
Roughly 14,000.
And the amount of,
Let's split it up. 14,200.
14 what?
2.
200? 14,200 even?
The name was deconsolidation request,
Valuation.
valuation.
Okay.
We have a second.
Sure.
Second by Myers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Approval of policies.
These, it started out as 5 when it went to the policy committee and became 6 policies because they wanted to create 8105 F2, which is the extracurricular transportation policy. So that the students that are being transported by the bus for athletic activities know what the rules are, that they have to. We had quite a discussion, Trustee Dunn, about the word litter and debris, and we had a conversation about it's not always litter. Sometimes it's like their gym shorts.
Oh,
So
yeah.
debris is just anything that they leave behind. And so, again, these are all required by the state of Idaho, and the policy committee did their due diligence in working for them and moved them forward for your consideration. Yes, sir.
My only, I went through and looked at this, and I don't have any problem with it, but it would be very helpful if we already have a policy in place to actually have it where the changes are, marked out. Or
So
what
in this
was
one,
versus what is.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
So this one is red in your policy manual because it is a brand new
Yeah,
policy. We don't
right.
have it at all. So when you see it completely
Okay.
red, that's the code, that's the
Okay.
signal. I'm sorry, I should have given you the shorthand. I
Okay.
apologize for that.
Okay.
So red is, we don't have that policy at all.
All right.
As a matter of fact, we
That's
took a
fine.
little hand slap from the state for not having this policy. And
Okay.
so it's completely new policy to us.
All right,
Sorry for that.
okay, not a problem.
Which one are you on? Just all of them in general?
Yes.
So maybe we could just strike, I'm on 8105. It says all students, participants are required to ride the bus or district-provided vehicle to and from. Maybe you could strike from.
No, because then it moves on to elaborate on that, like the
About
parents
how.
can sign them out.
And then why is it even in there? If we're gonna go, this kind of contradicts itself.
I know, maybe we need to add something like,
And or from?
Can you tell me
Unless-
which paragraph you're on? I'm sorry.
Second paragraph.
Transportation of all activities scheduled for the schools shall be provided by the district policy. The participants are required to ride the bus or district provided vehicle to, and then you have the question and from these scheduled events.
And then down later, it talks about how parents can take their kids from the games, but that just kind of
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
contradicts itself.
unless outlined otherwise in this policy, I don't know.
Unless relieved of that expectation as is outlined later in the policy.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, let me write that down because it's in my language. Unless relieved of that expectation.
Let's see, right there on the next page it says, unless travel arrangements are authorized.
As is
Oh. Yeah,
So page 2, under student travel to and from extracurricular, co-curricular activity, it says unless other travel arrangements are authorized.
Right, so, and there are times, so that, again,
Just
that
that
would help with
paragraph.
this sentence. So words I had, I'll just read it to you again and then test it for me. Unless relieved of that expectation as is outlined later in this policy.
Perfect.
Thank you for that correction.
Different subject. Are we going to get to a point of organization in the numbering of these items? One of the things I find difficult with most of our policies of any length is just kind of what happened here is, what are we talking about, where are we at? Because things are not numbered consistently. It's kind of standard SOP for things to be, like, I'm looking at 8100, just by way of example. Transportation would be item 1, just like they do in the code. That's a good way to do it. The code always references by paragraph, subparagraph, that type of thing. It just helps people to find things, which is a training aid, in my opinion, and helps the policy to be more digestible by people. If we had it where, okay, where was that item in
Or we
this
could just put
two-page?
lines on the left margin, I mean, numbers.
Yeah, numbers on the left margin, like 8105 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In one page is 7 different paragraphs that are not identified, other than good luck finding something because you got to read it all. If we had them numbered, I think it would be helpful. You and I had spoken about having a table of contents also for the longer ones. Are we moving towards that, or are we going to
When
leave
you
it?
and I talked about that, I thought that we had decided the subheadings would work. and
Well,
that-
unless we had a longer one, you know. If we have something longer like this,
Define.
I think, you know, when you're talking, I don't know how many pages here, and I appreciate the numbering at the bottom of the pages, by the way, but just as a matter of, you know, being a bureaucrat or a staff member who has to go find something, you just have to wade through all this, and when there's no need for that, if we're going to go through and rework the typing on things for clarification, we might as well get things numbered consistent with whatever makes everybody happy regarding standardization. It just makes these documents easier to navigate. But once it's done, it's done. It's just it's a chore to do it up front. But I would really ask that we think about doing that.
Vinny, you were a computer teacher. Can you just add the legal numbers on the left? Just print it?
You can.
Yeah.
I mean, you can copy and paste. You can add.
Yeah.
You can format the page and then copy and paste into
The margin
that.
can
So
just
you
have the
add-
lines.
You can add.
And so like this item with 8100 starting, and we had a little table of contents that said 8100 deals with this, and so you don't have to go thumb through the whole thing to find something and feel, oh, okay, that's that subject is 8105H. I'll go there, and then within 8105H, you go in there and you look for whatever you're looking for. It's just a matter of.
So I think I'm hearing two things. Help me, please.
Yeah, you are.
I'm hearing line numbers. I'm also hearing table of contents. Are you asking both, or are you asking either one?
They're related, and so not necessarily line numbers, but think about it like Idaho code, how it's broken out. Each item, each paragraph is numbered so that people can find something by way of, like we just talked about, referring to another part of the policy to find the exception for riding home from a bus. You say, refer to item so-and-so in this policy, then you go find that item. As opposed to, okay, they say further on in this item, you just got to go looking for it. So I'm just saying it's a pretty common practice in business and administration. And I just think since we're going through all this, we might as well just do the best we can to have a good product. The table of contents I'll leave to the discretion of the committee as to whether they think we need one, given the length of the document. Just like that, concealed firearms policy is pretty long. It's a 5-page document with a lot of different material, and having a table of contents is really helpful to wade through that. So I'm just looking to make a better product since we're going to the trouble.
It doesn't bother me.
I think it's a good idea, Larry. I just think we're already overwhelmed with our outdated policies to begin with, that I just don't know if, like, I totally agree with you. I just think that might be a little overwhelming for.
Maybe we could utilize the next superintendent to do this.
Yeah.
They call it kicking the can down the road. I'm quite sincere when I say this. It has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that I'm more than happy, because I have quite a bit of experience in this. I'll do it myself. You just give me the final document, I'll do it and get it back to you the same day.
Great.
Okay?
My thought is,
I did, and I will.
if we're gonna do this, let's do it right the first time, so we don't have to go back and redo it.
That's right.
I like the idea of paragraph numbers, rather than,
Yeah, I like the
that way
idea of Larry
it
doing
becomes
it.
easy to find something
Yeah,
and get to it.
I think it's good, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
Trustee
Can we
Dunn,
make,
So I will, you can give me,
maybe using the outline features?
you and I will agree as to how it looks.
we don't need a motion or anything.
If you'll give me a
We can do
Word
that, right?
document of this, or
All right.
Charity or somebody, I'll take care of that.
So should we just table this for this month, or do we need to, wait, we have to adopt these, right, because
You
they're,
need to
yeah.
either make a motion to approve the policies or not.
We
You
gotta
guys
approve the
went off the
policies.
beaten path about,
Okay, I move that we
Format.
approve the policies as presented, Series
well,
8000.
with the change. You had one change.
With change.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second? All in favor? Approval of
Aye.
policies?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to consideration of alternate curriculum.
No,
Yeah,
Yes,
they
yes.
moved it.
no,
Trustee Mano and Dunn.
this one doesn't say that.
Yeah.
No, I know, they did it.
Mr. Mano?
There's a couple things, I don't know, Larry, you wanna talk, or you want?
Just by way of reintroducing the subject, which is now up for a motion, I will make a motion that we refer the Hillsdale curriculum, which is a K through 12 curriculum, and the PragerU supplemental curriculum, as approved by the State Board of Education, to the curriculum committee at its first available opportunity for consideration of adoption. That's the message.
So you're basically moving to include it in the curriculums that we, or the curricula that we already analyze?
I would, the PragerU, I would ask for it to be the first item that the curriculum committee that the superintendent told us she's going to form, that this be the first item of business. And secondly, with the understanding that the PragerU is by definition a supplemental curriculum, and the Hillsdale College is a wholesale K through 12 curriculum for civics and U.S. history, American history.
Could I
Is parent to teacher larger
Sure.
group?
I know that PragerU is on the state approved adoption list.
Right.
I don't know about Hillsdale.
I've already got an email into them about that.
Okay,
So
I don't know
and I'll
that.
report back to you and you can share.
And then I'll check as well. And then the next question that I had was, we typically adopt a subject a year. Last year was math,
Not yet.
of which we did not, or you did not. K-5, you did 6-12. And so we're short math, and then the upcoming adoption, Kim, is she still here?
No.
Do you happen to remember what it is? I think it's history, but I'm not sure. So there's a
I
state
feel like
adoption
we just did
cycle.
history like 3 years ago, but like when I was on the school board, but I could be wrong.
I got a question for you. So PragerU is on the approved list, right?
The list of
So,
approved.
so as a teacher, say I was a teacher and I wanted to show those videos to my class, I could do that?
Not until the board approves it.
That's right.
Not until the board
And the
approves
board
Well-
can't approve it until the curriculum committee.
Well, they could show videos of it, they just have to record it in their supplemental library thing that Larry's having them do. Because
You're
they're
right.
showing videos all the time that aren't
it.
related to.
So you could do that. But this, by putting it on there, then it just opens up the door a little bit further?
I think it also makes a statement that the board is, for lack of a better term, preferring this as the superintendent has gone on her way to indicate that, she thinks this is a good idea and that we ought to be including it. It's sort of that type of
So,
improvement.
so as a teacher, say I wanted to read in Primus, which Hillsdale sends out every month.
I don't know about Hillsdale because I'm not sure if it's on the
But
approved
if
curriculum.
it's not
Then
on the
it doesn't
approved
have to
list,
be approved.
how would we do that?
Okay.
You would add it, I mean, like, I get it every month, the infamous,
Yeah.
and I read it, that's just like a reference. So you could add it, and then it just goes in the library that Larry reviews,
Okay.
and then that's
But
all.
But if we approve this, then we don't have to do that
No, we
process?
still,
You'd still have to do it
it's a
anyway?
separate
Still
thing
for
that he
supplemental.
requires.
So all this is doing is making a statement that.
Yeah, I don't know what
For
we're
the
doing.
supplemental.
Because I
That's why
think we
put it
were
on
already
the
gonna look
announcements,
at
'cause
it.
it's like, hey, guys,
You
I thought it was already on the list
cannot
to look at.
adopt curriculum tonight.
Right.
No.
Because, so you cannot approve any curriculum
Right.
tonight. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to be really clear here.
Right.
Because there is law that says that has to go through a curriculum committee and go through that.
That's my
Now,
motion.
as a teacher in the classroom, they can use supplemental curriculum that is not from necessarily an approved list or even a state approved list. Teachers are really careful in doing that, obviously, because it needs to be appropriate for the grade level and the content and the area and the culture. And so PragerU has been recognized by the state of Idaho as an approved supplemental curriculum. It is one that teachers may or may not choose from. They don't have to use it, they could if they wanted to. I don't know about Hillsdale, I just don't know.
Do we have copies of all of this that the crowd has seen that we haven't seen?
I don't know what they've seen, I've seen some of it.
For PragerU, I contacted the state, and they sent 5, I think, little brochures there that Larry's got for us to look at. Now, those have to go back to the state at some point. There's no timeline on this. But what I brought that here to the meeting tonight, and take a look at these things. Larry's got it now. Larry, when you're done with it, take it back to the office, and it'll be available there if you want to take a look at it.
Is that all the curriculum?
Oh, no.
That relates to the PragerU curriculum.
But is that part of the curriculum?
Part of the information that's, I believe, that's what, those things there are what the state based their approval on.
Okay, and so is that what you guys saw? Is that what you guys based your opinions on, was these? Or how did you guys all get the Hillsdale and the Prager? I mean, I've seen Prager videos, I watch them. But
Yeah, we can answer that. Answer it. All right.
Looked at the stuff for years. It's all excellent.
because I can't find it.
Most
I've
of it's
asked
online.
online and I can't find
Oh, there's that. Oh,
Can't
that's
find
stuff?
which.
any of the, like I've looked to analyze the curriculum and I can't.
I think it's more of just video
You have to
access.
order.
Are we talking, Larry, we gotta get this separate because it is two very different things. Are we talking about PragerU Kids, which is what the superintendent, or, yeah.
Superintendent Kitchell?
Yeah, what she approved is different from Hillsdale. If you go
Right.
if you go online to Hillsdale, you'll see
You
that.
have to request it through your person. So I've been trying to get Hillsdale and I was hoping to get whatever you guys base your opinions on, because I can't get the books. I want to see the content, I want to look at it, and I can't get it. So I'm wondering how you guys all read it and thought that it was a good.
John.
Did you see these handouts? You should.
Yes, but they're not the curriculum that's going to be taught to the kids.
You should be able to get it.
I've asked.
Let
Let me make a comment here.
If the approval.
Let's go to John Minot and then we'll go to John Severia.
The Hillsdale is currently being used at 2 of the charter schools down in Boise. I've talked to both of them, the one in particular, we had several conversations, this is months ago. With the curriculum committee, my recommendations are going to be that we make a trip down there and actually talk to these people that are actually using this stuff down there. Or some other places that are, in the area. There's several schools in the state that are using the Hillsdale curriculum.
I'm just wondering where the content is that you guys, like how did you guys analyze those books and the curriculum to say that it's a good curriculum when, like, do you guys have those books? Do you have that content?
Remember,
John, yeah.
remember last year when we had Steve Lambert come up and do a presentation on the Treasure Valley Classical Academy, which is now turned into like 5 schools that they're building. Steve brought some of that with him and showed us some of that. I talked to him numerous times, and like John just said, you can go down to Fruitland and take a trip to the school, and you can walk through every classroom and see every book that they've got. And if that's indeed the curriculum you're talking about, I believe there's 2 different curriculums. I believe there's the 1776 curriculum, and then I believe there's the curriculum that they're using, and I'm not sure they're mix and match. Is that right, Larry?
The curriculum that we're talking about tonight is also referred to as the 1776 curriculum. It's limited to American history, K through 12, and civics, right. Not the entire scope of the K through 12 education package that Hillsdale offered. I'd like to answer Ms. Edwards' question in that if you go on their website, it's kind of like a page-turning exercise in itself. I was just on there yesterday, and you can find access to anything and everything they have. They have some issues with working with public schools because of the problems that are created for them as a private organization. So they don't normally market in the way you would think McGraw-Hill would, a curriculum. It's a different, because they're not a for-profit agency. They don't go through it that way. They are more than happy to answer your questions. I'll forward you the website. All you gotta do is go to Hayden.
I've been there.
Okay, and they,
Because 2 years ago, I tried to get it, and I was like, I just want to see what we're going to be putting in the school. I want to read, just like we had all the other curriculums were available at the district office to review and like look through. And I'd like to see that before before the curriculum team. I mean, we can't say it's a great curriculum if we haven't looked at the curriculum.
as I understand it, there's some level of legality that has to be enjoined with the district in terms of, I assume through the superintendent's office, where you agree to, with respect to whatever materials they send you for evaluation, what you do with those items, that sort of thing. It isn't just open and out there for anybody to read. So there is a level of administration that has to be satisfied for them to release their information in the kind of detail that you want. But that, in my opinion, is what that curriculum committee process is about. And I think, me not being a teacher, just as an old school board member, I was satisfied in learning about this for years now. But in looking, I think their website is above, head and shoulders above what I've ever seen by way of a curriculum assessment tool. And if you're interested and you come together, we say, yeah, let's take the next step, which is to formalize the evaluation process. And I think that's where your questions will get answered, Ms. Evans.
Michael?
B, it's not the Hillsdale site, it's k12.hillsdale.edu.
There you go.
And then, so it's not actually a part of their 501c3, it's a separate free curriculum database. And if you go to curriculum, you can formally request the resources, which they will provide to teachers for free. Or
Okay,
probably more.
and that's what I was asking. Have we done that? And has anybody done that? Like, does anybody have those resources available that we could look at?
But if you go to k12.hills,
I requested it like 2 years ago, and they said
Okay.
we had to go through our curriculum person.
Oh,
And so
yeah, I can look.
there was like this process so I was wondering if anybody has like a tangible item that they have reviewed that made their decision based on that. That I just want to see what we would be teaching the kids and read through.
I think that's one of the things that the curriculum committee needs to get at and do. That becomes part of their task, is to reach out and get the stuff so that it's available. Just like the things that I got from the school board done, Boise,
So are we
Reach
going
out.
to be going through a new history and civics curriculum soon?
I
We
don't
have
know.
to take care of math first.
Right. Is that something that you could request Kim to do? Just so we can see the items?
Yes, so what happens with the curriculum committee? First of all, you have to appoint your committee because you have to meet all of the statutory requirements. And then sample copies are ordered and typically we order everything that's on the state's website. And they will send sample copies, usually K-12. If they're K-12, if they're K-6, just the K-6 stuff, one sample copy. Some companies require them to be mailed back, some of them tell you to do with them whatever you want. And then the curriculum committee will go through those, and they have a rubric that they use in scoring those. And then based on that rubric, they make a recommendation to the board for their adoption. It's going to come down to money, because you now are half a curriculum behind, because you didn't adopt a math curriculum last year. So you've got half of math curriculum, and then whatever the new adoption for this year's cycle is.
I just think that
I don't rely on memory for that.
It would be good to have, and like, I spent that whole week at State Department of Ed this summer analyzing curriculum. They have a whole basement of stuff. They didn't have Hillsdale. Like, it would be nice if we could get access to that at our district.
Yeah, I have seen some Hillsdale, but I've only seen a chapter at a time.
Yeah, I mean, like,
in my experience, when I was on a curriculum committee and we requested Hillsdale curriculum, they sent us a couple chapters from different grade levels. They didn't send us the comprehensive K-12, these are all the books, these are all the materials. That's just my past experience. We can ask.
that would be great if you wouldn't mind.
So, do we have a motion?
No, but hang on. here's your motion. I want to clarify this.
Okay.
Hillside Curriculum and Prager U to the Curriculum Committee for adoption under Idaho Code. Was that your motion?
Pursuant to, I don't know.
Pursuant.
Adoption?
Consideration.
Adoption was
Okay,
the,
thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
Yes.
Review.
Consideration.
Yeah.
Pursuant. Thank you.
Do we have other ones?
We have a second? There?
We have other ones
Let's
in
vote.
the.
I need a second.
No?
Me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. Substitute.
Moving on.
Was that everybody unanimous?
Thank you.
Unanimous,
There
yeah.
that they're all going to be.
Informational items.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, we have this item, is this, I don't see it
That-
listed here.
That was,
Oh,
It ended up on the bottom of the
Other,
packet I
Sorry,
got, I didn't know what
that
it
was
was
in the
related to.
policy stuff.
I don't know, what is that?
Maybe it's-
Part of your.
Oh, okay.
executive session.
Academic performance, do you want that in?
Oh.
Want that in
This is
informational?
just measuring instrument for walking students and also.
It's part of the policy.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the policy page.
Nobody said
Oh.
that.
That's the page of the policy. I didn't know
just
what
wanted
you
you
had
to-
demanded.
I'm sorry, no, that's fine, okay, I didn't know.
So
it
we
was
can, we can move on to informational items?
Sorry about that. Cool.
Informational items. Board Clerk of the Year. Thank you.
yes, thank you so much, Tracy.
That deserves a picture.
Here's your $1,000 check.
There is a lot of pictures out there.
Yeah, but not, okay,
There is a lot.
Thank you.
not that
I
kind.
don't
Yes,
know what
thank
I'm
you
gonna
so
do
much.
with that, but, yeah.
Strategic plan, academic achievement.
Okay, as I pointed out a couple times, we've had a lot of turnover in the district. We've had a lot of change in the district. And so I'm going to, again, refer to the cows out of the pasture. And also one other example, a few months ago, I had some blood testing done, and the results came back, and the doctor wanted to put me on metformin. It might have been that I was eating a bag of jelly beans every night. 30 days later, we took the test. I didn't need metformin. I just needed to stop eating jelly beans every night. My cholesterol was phenomenal. I don't know that I look like the healthiest person in the world. I think what I'm trying to say is one test is one test. We have to look at a lot of tests, and we have to look at tests over time. And so sometimes schools see one data point and they react to it, and then they see a data point over here and they react to it. And we want to really caution ourselves to look at the whole picture and all of the data that gets there. Overall, our scores aren't great. They're not terrible. What we do notice, what I think is most important is our scores at the younger grades are really low. But by the time they get to high school and graduating high school, they're really good. So that's indicative of our programs working, our schools working. Are they perfect? No, they're not perfect. But the school programs are working. We can't blame one thing. We have a lot of things. I'm going to say the person sitting in this chair is part of the guilt. Not necessarily me, but for a number of years, you've had 7 superintendents in 7 years. You lose a lot of content there. Also, we've had some staff retention issues. During the dark years of financial crisis, you lost a lot of really good teachers. And we have a record number of alternative authorizations. I'm not saying alternative authorization teachers aren't good. We got some good ones. But they come to us with less experience, less background, less knowledge about how to teach, the science of teaching. And we also have some curriculum concerns. We're missing half the math curriculum right now, and I don't know how we can expect teachers to create that. That being said, I've seen really good teachers not use a curriculum at all and be amazing. I've seen really good teachers use a curriculum and be amazing, and I've seen the opposite for both. I think that we just need to move forward strategically and carefully and not reacting to, sometimes we react to the vocal minority instead of the majority. Sometimes we react to one data point instead of all of the data points. So we don't have a strategic plan in this district. I don't really know what happened that we didn't get a strategic plan. We have school improvement plans, we have continuous improvement plans, we have a strategic plan that's required of us by the state of Idaho, and we don't have that. That is a process that we will be working on through the spring because it's due and due to be approved by you. Strategic plan includes your data points, goals based on that data points, staffing, what staffing is going to look like. It's going to be really difficult writing that plan, especially since there may or may not be a deconsolidation coming forward. I will try to keep that in my mind and try to write it in a manner that can be separated as I go through my notes here. So what are we doing? I don't want to be. I try to say don't come with all the problems, come with some solutions. So some things that we're working on, some solutions. We're trying to build consistent expectations and procedures. That's what helps people want to stay in a job. If you know what's expected, you feel safe, you stay. We're trying to select and use assessment tools. During the financial crisis, we had a benchmark assessment tool called STAR, and it was expensive, and we got rid of it during the financial crisis. We do not have a benchmark assessment right now that we use consistently across. So we need to find and identify one.
We have what's required by the state.
Those are, yes, those are your summative exams, like your IRI or ISAT. That's required by the state, but if you want to know, if you're driving from here to Lewiston, occasionally you look out the window and make sure, oh, I'm going by Craigmont, I'm on the right track. Oh, there went Winchester, I'm still on the right track. So those are what those benchmark exams are. We need to know that we're.
Are we using IRI for benchmarks? No? No.
And so that's something that one of the things that we need to work on and find. And then, and then again, recruiting and retaining the right people. One of those being the superintendent. So I encourage you to just become helpful, find the right person, recruit and support the schools. And I think all of us can focus on the positives and move our school towards that positive. That's one of my goals, is moving towards that positive. So I just want to make you aware, we don't have a strategic plan. That will be due in the spring. There will be some work that we'll have to do. This is just an information.
I'd like to make a comment, just an observation. Looking at the In God We Trust and PragerU, that's something that the state had already put together, and it seems like the state is aligning with a lot of the values of this community, which is good.
Yes.
So if we can continue to find those good things and promote it, that's good. On the federal level, we were kind of sketchy about this, but the state seems to be aligned with what we got going on. So keep looking at the good things and we'll promote it. You good?
Yeah.